We've got some more people joining. Glad to have you with us tonight. Let me just get this shared and land on this first page. All right, so let me see. Enter full screen. All right. So again, tonight's content, tonight's description, tonight's I'm hiding myself from the screen, but if you have it up, you can adjust your screen the way it sees fit. I will try to get to chats between our presentation and the Aroma Boost that I have scheduled at the end of our call tonight, so that I can respond to your questions and answers. If you're watching this on replay, thanks for joining us. It's super exciting to be launching more intentional efforts toward bringing women in midlife and beyond to that deep spiritual connection that sometimes we're just missing from our everyday life. And to me, you'll see in my presentation tonight, it's more than just a wedge on a wellness wheel. I really believe that spiritual practice and soul care can impact every area of our lives. And it's probably part of the reason that we feel sometimes out of balance with things that we're facing in our lives. And so just from a purely, we've got Susan having a little trouble staying in the room, but we're welcoming you. We're going to keep adding people as you join. But I also recognize that I want to be really transparent that as we begin, I come from a personal choice to practice as a Christian in my upbringing and my current religious affiliation. However, I find that I have a very diverse worldview. And so I love giving people skills and tools and practices within Christianity and beyond to really engage with with God, with that higher source, that higher purpose. I know some people are skeptical. We're feeling more and more distant from that inner voice that we ignore sometimes, or we don't know what to make of, or we chalk up as being a figment of our imagination. And yet, hopefully tonight's event and subsequent times that we get to interact together will help you develop your personalized version of what soul care means in the midst of your busy life. I really believe finding practices that excite you, give you purpose, and allow you to appreciate the beauty and take pleasure in your journey day by day are things that are going to just really ignite your spirit as you move through your life. A little bit about me as we get started. I'm a teacher by trade. I told somebody this morning, I love teaching. It filled my heart and soul to be in the public school classroom. It just didn't make ends meet for me as a single mom for a period of time. And so I started exploring other things, including essential oils and business leadership, and then was able to leave the classroom. And I've been working as an entrepreneur in multifaceted ways since 2015. I picked up a certificate as a spiritual director in 2016 and started learning about how to offer deep listening practices to people in my life. And so I've just been so enthralled with others' lived experiences on the planet that continues to lead me in my own spiritual awakening. Also, I would say it's actually been 5 months today that my mom passed away. She was my best friend, my spiritual guide, a leader of my life, the matriarch of our family, and that has been a deep, deep grief that I have felt in the last 5 months. And I really believe, and I'm getting God bumps. She would call them angel bumps. While I'm saying this, I really believe that she's guiding and directing these steps. I've always said that if this is meant to be, it's going to be a God thing. And so every time I sit down to do this work and I get lost in it, I just feel her sort of pushing me from beyond. And I'm so, so grateful for that divine connection. A quick disclaimer. I am an aspiring life coach, and I love to give credit where credit is due. Our team, Living Well Now, from which we're joining tonight, we are representatives or brand partners with Young Living Essential Oils. There is no pitch tonight. There is only an opportunity for you to engage with me in soul care, and perhaps deciding if you'd like to use aromas and scents for the last third of our opportunity tonight to look at how you can use essential oils to experience that groundedness and centeredness. Our main overall goal, and my mom sort of led the way on this, was to bring people together and change lives. Transformation was always the goal here. So the disclaimer is tonight, this isn't intended for treatment or prevention of disease. Anything that we say tonight is not substitute for deep counseling or medical treatment that you need to find if that's important in your life. So in preparing for tonight, I stumbled upon this great simple article from several years ago from Deepak Chopra from his website. And it resonated with me to describe soul care and spiritual awakening tonight because of its alignment with Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey. How many of you are familiar with Hero's Journey directly from Joseph Campbell? Right in the chat, if that is you. I'd love to know if that's somebody, if you're somebody who has encountered Joseph Campbell and his writing and his guides. I also wonder, though, if you are fans of stories like Star Wars. Star Wars is one of the most popular and a lot of Steven Spielberg's work actually is a replica, a basic replica of what Campbell was teaching in terms of Hero's Journey. So this is a little bit different, but loosely based on that idea. And I just thought it was a great way to look at the Hero's Journey. And specifically the call to adventure, knowing that there is something more. We're also going to talk about what it means to actively seek and learn, what we can do to live in alignment, how to embrace the struggle because we know challenges are going to come, and then what does it look like to merge the inner and outer experiences. So that's a brief overview. Let's talk about something more. So again, the celebrated mythologist Joseph Campbell defined what is known as the hero's journey, an evolutionary path of growth and transformation woven into all myths and stories. When we quit thinking about ourselves and our own preservation, we undergo a truly heroic transformation of consciousness. And I just love how that is offered to us. At the start of any hero's journey is the primary pushing off point known as the call to adventure. So the call to adventure represents some sort of break from everyday life, a signal that bubbles up from your subconscious, catches your attention and leads you in a new direction. A call to adventure is a spark that can trigger a spiritual awakening or more awareness. So it could be, it's a trip to a faraway land. Somehow you experience a traumatic experience in your life, an illness, a challenge, perhaps the death of a close friend, your own near-death experience, even the loss of a job, or guys, thriving through a pandemic, right? That is where we encounter some transitional grief in how do we come out of 2020 stronger, even though so much of our infrastructure, perhaps in our own lives, has been ripped apart. So the experience happens to shake your worldview, and then you start to see the world with new eyes. And I love how you can think about living an ordinary life in a non-ordinary way. So thinking about, again, what are those transitions for you? What are those emotions that you're having? How are you noting the shift from what was to what is to what will be? Because once you accepted fixed and stable opinions, ideologies, the sense of yourself and how your relationships function, these all can be questioned and called into question, because now you find yourself in search of answers, a means by which you can repeat or return to the glimpse of spirit that initially shifted your perspective. So again, a lot of times in this beginning part of call to adventure, this is marked by a period of information gathering. So what can I go to? Who can I listen to? What can I read? What podcasts appeal to me at this time? Perhaps you're delving into world religions or psychology or practices that align with your unique personality and disposition. So again, do you remember as a kid when you wanted something and you'd ask your parents for it over and over and over again, usually until with full exasperation, they would just reply with, if you ask me one more time, like something as simple as, are we there yet? I have 2 teenagers. They're still asking me. And in fact, my daughter just sent me, she said, if you want to send me something, this is great. She's just completing her first year of college. And by golly, she's doing a great thing at college, and I'm so proud of her. She has done incredibly well. And she said, if you want to send me a congratulations gift, and I was like, a gift? We give gifts at the end of at the end of a college year? I'm not sure about this. She said, this is what I want, right? If you ask me one more time, and that always expecting the extraordinary, always expecting the gift. And the great promise from Matthew 7:7, right, from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount is absolute and unconditional. You are not alone in feeling sometimes that you are asking and not receiving. But the question now becomes, are you resisting? Or more importantly, how are you resisting? So what are you asking for that you aren't receiving? And instead of thinking and focusing on what you're not receiving, turn it back toward, how am I resisting this option, this opportunity, this next step, this path? When you take a moment in the midst of in the midst of this and truly ask yourself, that inner guidance system, your God, your divine self, is there something more? Asking is just the first step. In Matthew 7:7, Jesus says you must ask, you must seek, and you must knock. So this is about next steps to follow along as they're revealed, so that we can find our door that leads to our greatest good and richest blessing. So I'm curious, and you can write this on your own notes, or you can put it in the chat for the group to sort of connect to. What vehicles for spiritual growth have you explored to this point? When have you sensed or noticed God's presence in your life recently? What urgency, nudges, or God moments seem to keep mysteriously, synchronistically popping up? Where are you connecting as you ask, seek, and knock beyond your resistance? I'm going to do a quick check-in on the chat because you guys are writing in a lot. I love this. Yeah. Songs, devotions. Yep. The Bible. Yep. Messages coming to us in the middle of the night. I love many times my brother will text in the morning and say, Mom was in my dream again last night. I love when those sorts of moments crop up. That's God to me when he shares that with me. So how are you integrating your soul work or your spiritual adventure into every facet of your balanced life? Now, remember that a balanced life can look like this. This is a semblance of a wellness wheel. I had to do a little bit of shifting though, because like I said at the beginning, to me, spirituality is not just a wedge. It touches our legacy. It touches our relationships. It touches our health, our emotions, our calling, vocation, our career. It touches soul care, touches our lifestyle, our money. And the one I added in to take it out of the wedge was worldview. I am a huge advocate for listening to others' lived experiences and receiving that into myself, so that I have a better understanding of our shared humanity. So I've done that through travel. I've done that through intentional conversations, joining groups that I feel I don't necessarily fit the part for, right? Shifting my worldview as part of, and soul care and spiritual wellness touches that part of my life as well. So 2 clues as you are learning to add soul care into these parts of your life of balance, there are 2 clues that hint that spiritual progress is underway. The first one is an increasing sense of lightheartedness. So perhaps, and this is on, well, yeah, this is on the next slide as well. I'll finish here. With consistent spirit, because you might want to take a screenshot of this and you're welcome to do that. With consistent spiritual practice, happiness and joy become your ground state. People, I've had a lot of people comparing their grief journey to mine in my presence, and it's totally accepted, and I'm welcoming it. It's helpful and healing to me. I am somebody who wants to talk about everything. I'm kind of a high context, high word, lots of words person. And so for me, engaging about grief is where I'm at. And people say, you're doing so well, as if there's a bad in grief, right? But I know as I seek growth and change and transformation in my own life, that my connection to my mom is deeper, my healing through grief is more transformative, and my opportunity for what's next is expanding as well. So that's how I notice a spiritual alignment in what I'm doing personally. The second marker of spiritual progress is the ease in which your desires are fulfilled. So instead of fighting against the blockers, you find yourself in flow more often. And you start the spiritual practice that you're intentionally using removes those mental, physical, and energetic blocks that obstructed your ability to get what you wanted. So life becomes easier. You step into the flow of life and you start to notice the beauty around you. One quick story on this. We live on, our house backs a 5-acre green space park in our community. And there's these little red birds that showed up. I think we started noticing them last year. And I don't know where they go during the summer because it's hot in Arizona, to be really honest. And so they may migrate. I'm not really sure. But they're these beautiful little fluttery red birds, bright red. They're not robins. There were nothing that we'd ever seen before. I think we had to look them up. I think there's something like a flycatcher they're called. But the other day, my husband and I were out for a walk with our dog, and he said, we haven't seen our red birds in a while. And we just stopped and looked into the trees where they normally sit. And sure enough, we just waited a few seconds and there came one of the red birds reminding us that they're there. They're there. They're living among us. They're still surviving. They're thriving in their home. And just being able to stop in the middle of what we were doing, instead of the chore of walking the dog, stopping, noticing, and being given the gift of another view of that red bird was a balm to our souls. So again, how are you noticing the extraordinary in the ordinary parts of your life and starting to expect that? So I love also that you will begin to see how what you're doing positively impacts the people around you. So again, how are you showing up for those experiences that draw you closer, not just to yourself, but to others? And I think that's one of the things I love most about doing faith community work together, spiritual community work together, is that when we feed off of each other, we're drawn together in new and powerful ways. I will say, of course, in the joy, there will be struggle. So Joseph Campbell called these threshold guardians. They are the barriers, the literal or physical barriers. They could be symbolic barriers that stand in the way of important turning points in your life. They could be real or imagined enemies, rivals to you. They could be life circumstances. Everything seems to be going great, and then boom, I end up in the hospital, or boom, something happens to a friend of mine, right? Life circumstances take a dive. Maybe we confront our limiting beliefs of our own worthiness, our own enoughness. Perhaps we experience setbacks, or we start to engage in shadow work those traumatic experiences that we've pushed down for a really long time, and now they start to kind of rear their heads again because we're scratching at the surface. These are all things that could block your progress forward toward the life that you're choosing. I love this quote from Marianne Radmacher. And the thing I love the most, and I think I've spelled her name wrong on this slide, so don't take a slideshot or screenshot of this. It is in my soul care kit that I'm gonna give you an access code to in a second. But Marianne Radmacher, I actually reached out to her when I first heard this quote. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice at the end of the day whispering, "I will try again tomorrow." And those words have spoken over my heart and my soul, specifically in these last 12 to 15 years that I was really struggling in my growing upness, right? I hit 30 and my life went like, blah. So now at 46, I feel like I'm on the journey toward a deeper and more meaningful place myself, because I have developed fortitude and courage and resilience that has led me to this point. That it is not going to be the big flashy things that I am offering, but it is that I'm going to be tested and question my chosen path all the time. And yet I'm going to use techniques and modalities and resources and tools to help push me forward, to help me whisper along with that voice, "I will try again tomorrow." One of the quick practices I want to direct you to, if you have not been familiar, is self-compassion. The work is research-based by Dr. Kristen Neff, N-E-F-F. She talks about how self-compassion involves three main ideas, and I really feel like this is an important part of our spiritual practice. One is practicing self-kindness, practicing a common or shared humanity with other people, and practicing mindfulness, which sometimes comes in the form of devotional time, quiet time, prayer. And I think those three things are sort of the foundational pieces to a deeper and more meaningful spiritual life. At the end, and I don't know when spiritual awakening happens, right? That's why I drew the circle that I did instead of creating a line, a linear continuum. Spiritual awakening, I think, continues to, as I watched my mom's own journey through her life and her amazing wisdom, her diagnosis with cancer, her strength through that time of living in that unknown spot, and then passing. Spiritual awakening, I think, happens more often than just one big time, right? If I said my mom experienced spiritual awakening at her past time of passing, time of transition, I would be doing her a disservice. There were so many places that I got to witness her. It's going to make me choke up a little bit, but I got to witness my mom becoming spiritually alive and awake through her work, through her parenting, through her grandparenting, through her legacy building, through her book writing, all of these opportunities where I saw her come back home to herself, right? It isn't as if that only happens just one time. And in my limited worldview, the process isn't just about gaining all the experiences and knowledge, but letting go of the outcomes, right? And peeling the skins of the onion allows you to get smaller and smaller until pure beingness remains. And so I just want to leave you with that image of multiple opportunities for spiritual awakening. It doesn't necessarily always mean that we have arrived just at the state of our transition to the life beyond. Spiritual awakening may take form and live within you at different points in your life. Can everyone take a deep collective sigh with me? That was a lot to share. I'm so grateful for your, oh yes, vermilion flycatcher. Thank you, Cheryl. Oh yes, I'm pretty sure that's the one it is. And just incredibly grateful for your comments and your chat. This is super rewarding to me as well. This next section that we're going to dive into does involve some use of aromas. I hope this has been powerful for you. I will have the replay on our YouTube channel under Living Well Now. I will also have it in my free group, Smart and Spiritual Women, on Facebook. And it's going to show up in a couple different places. So stick with me if you are interested in this next part. I know I promised 30 minutes. We're going to go over just a little bit because I did start a little bit late. But I think you're going to like this next part of listening for your inner wisdom. If you don't have essential oils, or I would invite you to find a fresh lemon, orange, lime, some herbs from your cabinet, some mint from a plant that you have growing outdoor. My mint is just cray, and my rosemary is crazy right now too. Whatever you can find that just that you can, it's as close to living as possible, that you can just sort of open and let the oils do their thing, because fragrances actually have a powerful impact on your emotional state. As soon as you take a whiff, the airborne odor molecules travel up your nose to the olfactory receptors, which then relay messages to the other parts of your brain. Your sense of smell is the only one of the 5 senses that is directly linked to the limbic lobe of the brain, the emotional control center. And sesquiterpenes can increase blood oxygen levels in the brain. Guess where those are found? You guessed it, essential oils. So the stimulation of both aroma and oxygenation seems to affect the amygdala, part of the brain that plays a major role in emotional processing. And this can actually facilitate the release of stored emotional blocks. So that's one of the reasons I always have essential oils here by my, I don't know if I'm showing these right, but I always have essential oils here by my computer because I'm constantly drawing, grabbing, picking which ones I want to work with. Today it's been a lot of today has actually been a lot of highest potential, which is a blend that I find has really kind of guided and directed my work in preparing for tonight. So whatever it is for you, we're going to reconnect through what's called an aroma boost. So whatever that aroma is for you in your house, bring it out. If there's another modality, as you maybe use smudge sticks or sage of some kind, bring those things out. Perhaps it's something tangible that you want to work with, your scripture text, your holy texts, whatever it is, bring those to this time, and let's reconnect together for that inner wisdom. The aroma freedom process was once created. This aroma freedom technique was created by Dr. Benjamin Purkis. It uses a lot of the oils that you see in front of you on the screen, but also including stress away, frankincense, and lavender. And he discovered that when you put the oils together in a particular order with a particular system, they can really help you release some old stored trauma, mostly because we cannot solve a problem on the level of consciousness that created it. So we need something to go into that subconscious and be able to really let go of the things that don't serve us anymore. So that's what essential oils do. And you can learn more about Dr. Purkis's work at the Aroma Freedom Academy, or I'm going to direct you to another upcoming workshop I have that will dive in deeper just on the Aroma Freedom technique. So I'm curious, because we asked this question at the beginning, what is your biggest resistance at the moment? What are you resisting? And again, feel free to just journal it to yourself, or feel free to put it in the chat for others to see and follow along with. I'm so grateful for your participation. I'm so grateful for the chat. But I'm also aware that sometimes our resistance is a private matter. So feel free to just journal that to yourself. What is your biggest resistance at the moment? Some examples may be, perhaps it's your own belief in yourself. Perhaps a resistance that you're experiencing is a lack of time. Perhaps a biggest resistance is a lack of experience. Maybe your resistance is about your comfort because what you're doing right now is comfortable and you want there to be more discomfort in your life, or you're afraid of what more discomfort would bring. What are you resisting, or what is your biggest resistance? So for the 60-second aroma reset, this isn't going to take very long. You're going to identify that situation, whatever it is, whatever you wrote down in the chat or in your texts, wherever. Yeah, I'm not gonna live up to the life I desire. I have a fear of failure. Yep, identify that situation, write it down. And then name a feeling word, one word that describes how you feel about the situation. And I shared the wellness wheel, or I'm sorry, the feelings wheel, so many wheels. I shared the feelings wheel on this screen because the average American only knows about 4 to 6 emotions. And sometimes we need to get really, really clear on what that emotion is so we can more effectively identify and then release it. So what is that feeling that you have about what you're resisting? Is it something about your fear? So is it about helplessness, insecurity, insignificance, discouraged? Is it something about your sadness? Maybe it's a grief resistance. I feel guilty moving on or moving forward. I feel inferior to others in my industry or in my work. Maybe you're feeling angry about it. What's the one word that describes how you feel? Just write that down for yourself. Or just name it in your head, in your mind's eye. Locate the feeling in the body. So where are you holding that? Heart, shoulders, neck, head. Note that it could be a sensation or a posture. And then what's the negative thought? I can't do what she does. I won't be as successful. I don't know how to. Those are some example starters. What's that negative thought? So for this section, you can take 1 drop each of that Young Living lavender, frankincense, and stress away that we talked about earlier. Or you can take a whiff of an herb or a fresh fruit. For me, I blended together my stress away lavender and frankincense into 1 bottle. So I'm going to put that on my hands. Cup your hands over your nose and mouth, and then just breathe it in. We call it a scent tent. When you breathe in the essential oils, breathe into the negative thought. Breathe into the feeling and where you feel it in your body. Breathe into the situation. Breathe into the resistance. When you feel a shift, a moment of clarity, an aha, perhaps a new belief or a new strategy, write it down. Don't miss it. If you need to go through it again, I'll just talk us through it. If it's shifted at all, perhaps a situation, is different. Maybe you thought it was work related, but it's really about a relationship at home. Name the feeling. Again, it could be a same feeling, it could be a deeper feeling. Locate this new feeling in your body. Identify the negative thought. And then you can smell those same essential oils or pick a different one. There were other ones that were listed there. Trauma Life is one. Release is another. These are all blends from Young Living that I'm listing, but like I said, feel free to use that olfactory with a fresh fruit or herb. And just breathe into the thought, the feeling, and the situation. Yeah. Release is a powerful one. I'm so glad you shared that, Angela. Sit in that moment, reflecting that the emotion that you're feeling, the tears, maybe the overwhelm, are like ocean waves. As you breathe in, it's much like the ocean waves crashing to the shore. And as you release and breathe out, you can picture the waves receding. This quick aroma reset, this is just a quick thing that you can do in the middle of a day when you're finding yourself worked up. It's one of the ways that I practice spiritual centeredness. It may be something that you want to come back to. Feel free. You can screenshot this. It's not copyrighted, except you can't sell it. But maybe you're wondering, what do I do next? How do I take action? Where am I headed? What do I do with all of this that I've learned tonight? Perhaps out of what you've done tonight, it's enough to move you toward a decision, a choice, a commitment. Perhaps you write it down. I like how somebody called it think in ink. Create some sort of visual representation. Write or say an affirmation that feels good to you. And then anchor it in with a different oil. So I would not recommend release for this part. I would recommend a tree oil like pine or Northern Lights black spruce. You can also use blends like Believe. Transformation is another good one. And then of course, using a power pose expresses the energy of your statement. This is based on the research. Yeah, awesome, you guys. This is great. Great, great, great. Oh, I'm so glad to connect with you. This is making my heart so happy. So your power pose expresses the energy of your affirmation. So it could be something strong with your arms raised above your head. It could be something more prayer-like or quiet. But that power pose is significant. And we dive more deeply into this during my full aroma freedom sessions. Tonight was intended to just be an overview of spiritual and soul care. How do we engage with that in our lives? And then how can we use essential oils to and other modalities to kind of release our resistance, so to speak. Maybe today it's important to find some accountability. Tell a friend about what you did tonight, a trusted colleague. Find a group that goes along with what you were talking about. Maybe you want to come be part of Smart and Spiritual Women. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Maybe it's time to time block your calendar and prioritize what you're working on, or chart some progress, or hire somebody to walk you through. And then, of course, remember to celebrate milestone accomplishments along the way. I think these are true in in soul care, as well as in goal setting and in our daily choices. Of course, always remember you can allow for grace. Allow for grace. Expect those obstacles. Expect those resistances. Expect suffering. If you do want to go deeper, I'm doing a monthly Aroma Freedom session on May 4th. I think that's next Thursday, if I have that correct, at 5 p.m. So same time. I'll post the information on Meetup, and also it's also on Facebook already, so you can find that. Follow me, friend request me, Angela Lehman on Facebook for if you want to connect there. Also, of course, in the Meetup group. And then I'd love to invite you, and I didn't make a big slide for it tonight. I was just getting the final touches put on the soul care kit. So some of the affirmations and things that I referred to and oils that I referred to in our time tonight are in my 24-page soul care kit. It's a workbook. If you go to my website, angelalayman.com/soul-care, you can download it for free. And then you'll be added to my email list, so you get notified of things that are coming up, including that group session next week. And I'm also starting to do more with my one-on-one solo sessions. So those are by appointment only. There'll be more information coming out about those in mid-May. Would love to have you work with me and work together in community and accountability in whatever capacity you feel called. But if you just decide to download the self-care kit or soul care kit, I think you'll really enjoy what we've put together for you. There are a few links in there, and including a link to that Smart and Spiritual Women's group on Facebook that I talked about if you have not joined that one already. I am so grateful that so many of you were able to come tonight and be part of this experience together. If you are new to oils, of course, you can always choose to start shopping. Reach out to the person who invited you. It's really important that you stay connected to the community of people that first introduced you to the products. And of course, there is a feelings kit that has some of those oils in it that we talked about tonight, including Valor was mentioned in the chat, as well as forgiveness, inner child, harmony, release was another one that was mentioned. And there are really easy ways for you to get started even just with that kit alone. I'm Angela Lehman. I'm so glad that you were here tonight. I took almost a whole hour of your time. I'm so grateful for your patience. I would love to connect with you. Like I said, if it works for you to join me next Thursday, there is a discount code for that first group session. It's First Sesh, and that information is in the group on Facebook as well. And like I said, I'll get that information up to everyone. You all are amazing. Thank you for your time, for your love, and for your spiritual connectedness. This is that spiritual community that I am just yearning and longing for, to connect with other women around. And I can't wait to see where this takes us. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night.